Now, we all know that exercise is good for the body, but did you know that walking is magical for the mind too? Welcome back to Savvy Psychologist. I'm your host, Dr. Jade Wu. Every week, I'll help you meet life's challenges with evidence-based research, a sympathetic ear, and zero judgment. Now today, join me for a mindful stroll through the psychological benefits of walking. And I do mean literally stroll, because this is a good episode to listen to when you take a walk. This will not only be a regular episode, but also a guided, mindful walking exercise. So get excited. Now, before we get into walking today, I wanted to share that recently I had gone through a bout of stress. I had taken on way too much work, I had injured my back, and I was just generally feeling out of touch with myself. I'll admit that there were times when I was preaching the importance of self-care to a crowd in the middle of a 60-hour work week. And the clumps of stress in my body were just getting tighter. Now, this might sound familiar to you. Many people have been experiencing burnout for the past year and a half, and the mental health effects are starting to catch up. I've been hearing from many Savvy Psychologist listeners about experiencing poor sleep, having short fuses, feeling exhausted, but also bored at the same time. What a hot mess we've all been, right? So guess what pulled me out of this most recent spiral? Well, it was walking. That's right. I took my dog on a long walk along the Eno River. When I started, I was mentally planning work projects and stressing out, but then a great blue heron landed in the water right next to me. And it was so beautiful that I burst into tears. After that, I allowed myself to breathe, to feel the movement of my body, to watch my surroundings, to smile at my dog, and so began my lift out of burnout. Now, I want to share this magic of walking with you, too. For today's episode, we'll do something a little different. So in addition to listing science-based benefits of walking, I'm also going to informally talk you through a mindful walk. So, if you'd like, take this episode with you for a walk and follow along. Let's lace up those sneakers and get going. And for the mindful walk, we'll start with breath. Wherever you're walking, let's start to become mindful by noticing your breath as you walk. No need to change it in any way. No need to count or manipulate the way you breathe. No need to judge whether you're breathing too fast or wonder what this means. We're just here to follow along with what the body naturally does. Benefit number 1 of walking is that it makes you less angry. Have you ever had an explosive argument with someone and felt so mad that you just had to leave and start walking? Well, that's a really good instinct. Walking does actually calm anger. One simple study put people on a 4-week daily walking plan. Now, not everybody actually walked as much as they were supposed to. Most people didn't. But still, participants' heart rates slowed overall, and they were feeling less anger and less hostility by the end. Now, notice your feet. Now that we've settled into the breath and we're continuing to walk, let's expand our attention to the feet. No need to move any faster or slower or change your feet's movement in any way. Simply notice the ground under your feet. Notice any sensations on the skin, in your arches, on your toes. Don't judge the sensations as good or bad. Just explore what they are with curiosity. Benefit number 2 of walking is that it makes you less depressed. We're not just less angry after walking, we're happier too. A study of ethnic minority women encouraged participants to go walking however much they could handle. After just 2 months, those who walked more felt significantly less depressed. Now, I think this is pretty remarkable for such a simple treatment, don't you think? Now let's notice legs and hips. Let's move our attention upwards through our legs and hips. Notice the sensations in your muscles and joints as they move. Notice any aches or pressures or itches? You know, a yoga teacher once told me that we hold much of our stress in our hips. Notice if this is true for you. Again, no need to judge your body or its sensations as good or bad. We're simply moving and simply noticing. So far, you may be thinking to yourself, walking is nice, but I'm so tired after a long day of work and I just need to lie down. And if you do very vigorous physical work or stand all day, this may very well be true. But know that feeling tired is sometimes from being too sedentary and too bored. The less you move, the more tired you may feel. Walking is actually a nice, low-key way to re-energize. In fact, that same walking study with the ethnic minority women found that those who walked more actually felt like they had more vigor. Now, as we continue to walk, start to notice your upper body more. Let's expand our attention from the lower body to the rest. Notice any sensations in your trunk, in your chest with curiosity. Follow along with the rhythmic movement of your torso as you walk and breathe. Notice the way your muscles move or don't in your shoulders and neck. If you're catching any unpleasant sensations, don't try to ignore them or change them. Simply breathe into these sensations and allow your non-judgmental mind to ask, what does it feel like? If the sensation had a color, what would it be? If it had a shape, what shape would it be? Watch the sensation wax and wane as you walk. And this is a great segue into the fourth benefit of walking, which is that it helps you to tap into the positive spiral of mindfulness. So, forest bathing, a Japanese concept of walking in nature, gives your immune system a boost, makes you mentally sharper, and makes you less stressed. And in the UK, a study has found that just one visit to a National Trust site, a place of natural and heritage values such as a historical house or botanical garden, made people feel less stressed and gave them higher self-esteem. Why is all this happening? Well, it's likely in part because walking can help you to tap into the positive spiral of better mood and more mindfulness, which means to be grounded in the here and now. This means you can literally walk your way out of a bad mood or a rumination spiral and instead step into groundedness and relaxation. Now, let's notice your surroundings. As we keep walking, let's expand our attention to our surroundings. Whether you're walking in the concrete jungle or along a forest path, you are surrounded by sights, sounds, and smells. Take a moment to notice one thing you can see with your eyes, something you hadn't noticed before. Now, see if you can notice one sound you weren't paying attention to. Now, can you smell anything? The faintest hint of leaves or soil, or perhaps gasoline or food? No need to judge any of these sensations as good or bad. Again, we're just here with curiosity. And the last but certainly not least benefit of walking is that it's good for sleep. So of course, we can't forget about the balm of hurt minds, the chief nourisher in life's feast, sleep. This is one of the great pillars of physical and mental health. And the great news is that walking helps here too. In fact, in a group of older women, walking on the treadmill for 50 minutes one time led to better quality sleep for at least the next 2 nights. If we make a habit of walking, there are even bigger benefits. Young adults who walked for about an hour per day for 4 weeks slept significantly more, had better quality sleep, had fewer sleep problems, and even used fewer sleep medications. So, if you're walking right now, you can feel great knowing you're taking care of your sleep, which will help you with everything else. Now that we have noticed our bodies and our surroundings, let's look back inward a little bit and notice our emotions. So how do we notice emotions inside? Notice sensations in your chest and belly. Now wiggle your face and see where the tensions are, if there are any. Breathe into those tensions and sensations. Now ask yourself, do you feel happy, sad, irritated, proud, peaceful, anxious? No matter what comes up, allow it to. Watch it rise up like a wave and let it roll through your body. Don't try to change the emotion or judge it as good or bad. Just keep walking and let the emotions walk with you. Now, as we finish up walking together, remember that when you walk, the point is not to manufacture positive sensations or emotions, but rather to be in touch with whichever ones are naturally living in your body at this moment. This will help you to stay grounded, to better understand yourself, and to have a better relationship with your body and mind. Now, I wish you a mindful rest of your walk and many more wonderful walks to come. Thank you so much for listening. Let's continue the conversation on social media. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter. I'm at QDT Savvy Psych and also at Jade Wu PhD. We can also keep in touch through the Savvy Psychologist newsletter. Savvy Psychologist is audio engineered by Steve Rickeberg and edited by Karen Hertzberg. As always, Savvy Psychologist is strictly for informational purposes and does not substitute for mental health care from a licensed professional. Thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you next week for a happier, healthier mind.